Let's start a new chapter. We are going to look into electrochemistry. It's a very high weightage chapter, both in your NEET, JEE Mains and JEE Advanced as well. NEET and JEE Mains have the same pattern. It's a reasonably difficult chapter compared to your rest of PChem, but the main difficulty that you are going to face in electrochemistry is usually doing your calculations and setting it up. Of course, I will be able to help you guys along with this. We will solve a couple of previous year problems. The best questions to practice is, as always I say, previous year problems. Previous year problems will contain all the patterns that you want to know. In electrochemistry, we can actually divide it into 4 different subdivisions. First is your theoretical aspect questions, very rarely asked. The next is your types of cells. Your electrochemical cells are of 2 types, galvanic cell and electrolytic cell. You will look into the types of cells, and accordingly we will be using the corresponding equations, and we will go into establishing our protocols regarding the E0 values and the corresponding Nernst equation. The next pattern that comes is electrolysis, which is Faraday's law. Most of the time in NEET recent years, if you see, most of the questions are Faraday's law question. Extremely simple, just get your basics right. And the last segment of electrochemistry that question comes is your conductance, equivalent conductance, and accordingly how do you calculate. Now first, let's go into the first segment and learn about what are electrochemical cells. Electrochemical cell is of 2 types. One is galvanic, or also it is called voltaic cell. Both of them are named after 2 different Italian scientists, Galvani or Volta. Typically we use galvanic cell, and the other type of cell is electrolytic cell. So I have separated them into 2, galvanic cell or voltaic cell, whereas this is an electrolytic cell. Couple of things you want to know is a galvanic cell always is a spontaneous chemical reaction. So a chemical reaction is spontaneous, that it happens, and because of the chemical reaction that happening, an electrode potential is generated, so you can get useful voltage out of it, meaning it is going to be useful for us. Example, your cell phone battery, you are using the battery. Whereas electrolytic cell, you have a non-spontaneous chemical equation, you are making it spontaneous by providing electricity. So in an electrolytic cell, you convert electrical energy into chemical energy. The best example I could say is still the same cell phone battery, but this time you are charging it. So you have plugged it into your power outlet. So the battery system inside, it is reverting the reaction that has happened while it is giving you the charge. Instead, it is now taking the charge and doing the non-spontaneous reaction by making it spontaneous, so that you can use it again. Couple of things that you want to know is, I will go through standard procedure. We will explain few things. The blue color dots are your electrolytic solution. These are conductive. So if they don't conduct electricity, then we can't have a cell. So these have to be electrically conductive. And most of the time it's aqueous solution. You can use molten salts as well. Now the solid bars here are electrodes, same in both cases, and what's connecting both of them is salt bridge. We will see salt bridge separately later. Now what you want to see here, I have a voltmeter because I am going to gain voltage out of it, I have to measure, whereas here I am connected it to a battery. Now the basic similarities are, in both of them I have drawn in such a way that my left is an anode, right is a cathode, but there is no IUPAC convention when you draw an electrode or an electrochemical cell. There is only convention when you write the cell notation. Here I can have my cathode on the right side, anode on the left side, or the other way around. Both are perfectly fine, but somebody has to say which is your cathode, which is your anode. Here I have chosen this as my cathode, this as my anode. Now you cannot say from these symbols, because those are exactly opposite for galvanic and electrolytic cell. So you got to be careful. One thing you can always say is, cathode is where the electrons flows into it. So the electron flows from the anode to cathode. So in our galvanic cell, the electron flow is always from anode to cathode, and your current flow is cathode to anode, and luckily it is the same for you in the electrolytic cell. So there is no difference between both of them. And also another similarity that you want to know is, your reduction always happens at cathode. And obviously I can say oxidation at anode. I don't think anybody would make a mistake in this one. If you want, just a quick way of remembering it, There is a C here, there is a A here. So this has no C, so this cannot be a cathode. This has no A, it cannot be an anode. But over a period of time, you're going to be okay here. So these are the similarities between the two. The difference, fundamental difference is, in one case it is a spontaneous reaction, here it is a non-spontaneous reaction. Later you are going to see about E naught cell. Here I will say E naught cell is positive, E naught cell is negative. Delta G is negative, E naught is positive. Delta G is positive, E naught is negative. And the other main convention changes, the cell sign, the sign is going to be opposite for them. In your galvanic or voltaic cell, the cathode gets the positive sign, whereas in the electrolytic cell, the anode gets the positive sign. This is something you want to know. The basic differences between a galvanic and electrolytic cell is listed out here. Make sure you pay special attention to the sign notation given for each of the anode and cathode in both cases. Now that we have seen the differences between a galvanic and an electrolytic cell, let's study the galvanic cell much more in detail. Let's consider Daniell cell. In a Daniell cell, our anode is zinc, cathode is copper, and the cathode solution is copper sulfate, anode solution is zinc sulfate. Now what happens is, we will see E naught potentials later. It turns out that the E naught of the cell is going to be positive, so delta G is negative, it is going to be spontaneous. But as the reaction goes, you can always say certain things. The electrons flows from zinc electrode to copper electrode, the current flows from copper electrode to zinc electrode, and as the reaction proceeds, because I am going to be doing my reduction in cathode, my Cu2 plus goes to Cu. So that is the reaction in my cathode. Takes 2 electron and goes to Cu0. So my weight of my cathode increases. So the amount of copper solid increases. Now where does the copper solid come from? It comes out of copper from the solution. So the amount of electrolyte here decreases, copper 2 plus decreases. So copper 2 plus aqueous will decrease. When you go to the other side, this is going to be oxidation in the anode. So my zinc electrode gets oxidized, Zn2 plus 2 electrons. So what we can say is, my mass of my electrode will go down because zinc is being used up, and the concentration of zinc 2 plus will go up. So here concentration decreases, concentration increases, mass of the electrode decreases, mass of the electrode increases. This is the basic Daniell cell. Now Daniell cell voltage you want to remember, it is 1.1 volt, but if you are given the E naught values of this, I will be showing you in the next lecture how to calculate it yourself. Salt bridge is used to finish the circuit. Without the salt bridge, these two are not connected. So salt bridge is used to finish the circuit. What a salt bridge is? It's made up of electrolytes where the salt that you have in the salt bridge will have a positive component cation and a negative component anion. The mobility of the cation and the mobility of the anion has to be equal. This is the number one condition of a salt bridge. The mobilities have to be equal. Mobility means the velocity at which they can carry the charge. If they are not same, then there will be a charge imbalance. So the mobility of the cation and the mobility of the anion has to be same, meaning they have to be about the same size. Imagine that you are taking the positive charge and somebody else is taking the negative charge. You are smaller, you can take more than the negative person can come. So that is not going to be okay. So they are about the same size in the sense you want to remember same hydrated radii of the ions, not the ionic size as it is. Ionic size could be different, hydrated size could be different. For example, if you take your first group element, okay, when you look at the size increases as you go from top to bottom, but my hydrated radii decreases when you go from top to bottom. So hydrated radii is a different concept. We have already explained that in periodicity. Now your hydrated radii of anion and hydrated radii of cation has to be equal. That's something you want to know. And what all you can use for salt bridge? Usually KNO3 is given, KCl is given. Now you take the corresponding aqueous solution, concentrated aqueous solution of those, and dissolve agar-agar in it in a hot solution and let it cool. It forms a gel, and then you plug the end corners with cotton, so there is no diffusion. That's more than enough for you. It maintains the electrical neutrality between the cells. Now that we have seen the pictures of a galvanic cell and an electrolytic cell, let's look into the cell notation or cell representation, meaning how you write it in words, what you just saw in picture. And this has IUPAC convention, you cannot change it. Now how this works is, usually the basis of that is my anode is written on the left side, my cathode is written on the right side, and they are separated by a salt bridge, and a double bar stands for a salt bridge. Now usually what you have is an electrode of the anode and the solution of the anode, separated by a salt bridge from the solution of a cathode and an electrode of the cathode. Now this is the basic representation. Now anode and cathode. Now single bar or a semicolon both represent a phase change. A double bar represents a salt bridge. A salt bridge separates the anode and cathode, whereas a single bar separates different phases within an cell or a half cell. Now your anode side is called one half cell or anodic half cell or oxidation half cell. The cathode side is another half cell. This is called a cathodic half cell or a reduction half cell. Together you get an electrochemical cell. So an electrochemical cell possesses two sides. One half cell is an oxidation half cell, one half cell is a reduction half cell. Now how all can you show is, for example, let's take Daniell cell. The equation in Daniell cell can be written as copper 2 plus aqueous reacts with zinc 0 solid to give you copper 0 solid plus zinc 2 plus aqueous. How this is shown in our cell notation is, you first want to figure out which is getting oxidized and which is getting reduced. My zinc is getting oxidized, my copper is getting reduced. So the cell notation would be my anode, which is my zinc solid bar, zinc 2 plus, and they can give you concentration here. Let's say for example 0.1 molar, they can give you that. Double bar, my copper 2 plus, concentration of copper 2 plus, let's say maybe 0.2 molar, single bar, copper 0 solid. Now all cells have the same notation, anode, double bar, cathode, that's one. All cells have the leftmost species and the rightmost species has to be solid, because you have to make electrical connections. Now here you can have gases or aqueous solutions, or even liquids if it is a molten salt. So this is what you have. So basically when you are given a cell notation, what does it tell you? Let's say you are given this and you are asked for a reaction. I can write the cell notation as, if you look at this, so this is my reactant anode, product anode, double bar, reactant cathode, product cathode. You want to be able to remember this. That way if I give you a cell notation, the reaction is always between the reactants to give you the corresponding products. This is how a cell notation works, and this is by IUPAC, so you cannot convert it. Again, the left side is always an anode, whereas in your diagram when you draw, it can be a left side or a right side. Now what else can you do is, once you have this, so I am going to rewrite it here. So it does not change galvanic cell, electrolytic cell. So this does not change between the two, it is common. So your reactant anode reacts with reactant cathode to give you product anode, product cathode. reactant anode, product and anode, reactant cathode, product cathode. Okay. Now very simply the reaction is this gives you this gives you this, which is same in both cases. The reaction is between this and this. So Ra, if you want we can write it, reactant anode plus reactant cathode gives you product anode plus product cathode. The same goes here. But the fundamental difference between them is, we saw in our preliminary explanation, for a galvanic cell my cathode is positive. So sometimes in cell notation the sign is given. So this is positive, this is negative. Whereas in electrolytic cell, this is cathode is negative, anode is positive. So the positive and negative has to do with the E naught, but it doesn't have to do with what is going to be cathode and what is going to be anode. So here my cathode is positive, here my anode is positive. So that doesn't tell, plus doesn't always mean a cathode or anode, plus just says compared to the other one, are you going to be preferentially reduced or not. So this sign notation you want to remember. So if this is given, and let's say if this is printed and you see a plus on the left side, automatically that tells you that it is an electrolytic cell, because IUPAC convention says anode has to be left side, meaning the examiner cannot print it otherwise. So it is always going to be anode on the left side. So if there is a plus sign there, that automatically means that's a electrolytic cell. If there is a minus sign here printed, eyes closed, that is a galvanic cell. Let's say for example they flip this, then the cell notation itself is wrong. So obviously they cannot ask you a question based on that. These are the basis of how to look at a cell and how to identify a cathode, anode, and how to write a cell notation. Be thorough in this, that way when you look at an example you are able to go and do, let's say for example Nernst equation. Let's imagine that you make a mistake in figuring out cathode anode. The Nernst equation calculation will take you time, and that time would be wasted if you got this wrong.